kids! I'm so glad that you could join us. It's time to go on another adventure.
Cece, it's story time. Cece, it's story time! Cece always telling us stories, pink hair and socks, and she's never boring. Whiteboard with the orange tie. You need a recap? Derek is your guy. Oh, with a flow so cold. Everybody get ready for adventure mode. Heather with the crew that's so disruptive. Hey, what's that? Friendly interruption! Kingdom Kids, yeah, Kingdom Kids. Kingdom Kids, yeah, Kingdom Kids!
Hey, Kingdom Kids! In today's adventure, we're going to answer our great big question, which is, who is the one true God? That question's pretty easy, huh? You know, I bet you could even answer it without even watching today's story. But I must admit, today's story is pretty epic, and I'm so excited to get to it. But first, we need a recap. Take it away, Derek.
There was an evil king who ruled over Israel, and his name was Ahab. Elijah told Ahab that no rain would come until God says. And he went to hide near a river, and ravens brought him food. But when the river dried up, God told Elijah to go to a village and meet a widowed woman. When Elijah approached her and asked her for some water and bread, she replied, "I only have a little bit of flour and oil." Elijah told her and said, "Go home and cook your food, but first, make me some bread." The Lord says, "That jar of flour will never be empty, and the jug will always have oil in it." So the woman went home and did what Elijah told her to do. The jar of flour and the jug of oil were never empty. Sometime later, that woman's son became sick. The woman went to Elijah and asked for help, and he laid the boy in his bed. Then Elijah cried out to the Lord and asked for the boy to be healed. The Lord answered Elijah's prayer. The boy began breathing again and was alive. Wow, miracles on miracles. Anyways, back to you, Cece.
Whoa, ravens brought him food? That is so cool. That almost reminds me of this one time where I had a pet.
Interrupt this regularly scheduled program to bring you this friendly interruption. This time, Joe has a joke that's really gonna knock your socks off.
Hey, Kingdom Kids! It's me, Joe again, with some more jokes! You ready to laugh? Well, here we go. Why should you never give Elsa a balloon? Because she'll let it go, let it go. Am I right?
Well, at least you tried. Back to Cece.
Wow, good one, Joe. Once again, you never seem to fail with how horrible your jokes are. Well, now that that's out of the way, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's time for
Adventure Mode!
The people were in drought for 3 years, and without the rain, the people had no water to grow their crops, and so they were running out of food. God told Elijah to meet the evil King Ahab, king of Israel. When Elijah stood in front of King Ahab, he told him to gather all of the people of Israel and to have them gather at Mount Carmel. He also told the king to bring the prophets of Baal and the false gods they were worshiping. When everyone was gathered at the mountain, Elijah said to the people, "If the Lord is the true God, follow him. But if Baal is the true God, then follow him. I am the only prophet of the Lord here, but there are 450 prophets of Baal. Bring us 2 bulls. Let the prophets of Baal have 1 bull, cut it into pieces, and then put the meat on their wood. But don't start the fire. I will do the same with my other bull. Prophets of Baal, pray to your God, and I will pray to the Lord. Whichever God answers the prayer and starts the fire is the true God." All the people agreed that this was a good idea. The prophets of Baal went first. They started praying to Baal, saying, "Baal, please answer us." They began to hurt themselves to worship him, but there was no sound. At noon, Elijah began to make fun of them. He said, "He could be sleeping. Maybe you should pray louder and wake him up." So the prophets prayed louder, but there was no answer from Baal. There was no sound, there was no one listening. Now it was Elijah's turn. He found 12 stones and dug a small ditch around the altar. He told the people, "Fill 4 jars with water. Pour the water on the pieces of meat and on the wood 3 times." The water ran down off the altar and filled the ditch. Elijah went to the altar and prayed, "Lord, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, I ask you now to prove that you are the God of Israel and that I am your servant. Show these people that it was you who commanded me to do all these things. Lord, answer my prayer. Show these people that you, Lord, are God and that you are the one who is bringing them back to you." Then fire came down from the Lord and burned the sacrifice, the wood, the stones, and the ground around the altar. Then it dried up all the water in the ditch. All the people saw this happen and bowed down to the ground and began saying, "The Lord is God, the Lord is God." The people turned on the prophets of Baal and killed them. After a short time, the sky was covered with dark clouds. The wind began to blow and a heavy rain began to fall. The drought was over. And that's what we learned on
Adventure Mode!
See, today's lesson was awesome. Some of my favorite stories in the Bible are when we get to see God's power. He is so amazing! In today's lesson, we saw that King Ahab and his queen Jezebel were very evil and turned the people away from God. They started worshiping false idols such as Baal. God had to show the people who the one true God is. So instead of just burning the calf for the challenge, God burned the calf, the stones, and he even dried up all the water. The prophets of Baal prayed and danced and jumped around for hours to try to get their so-called God's attention. But no one was listening. Because who is the one true God, Kingdom Kids? God and God only. Well, that's all the time we have for today, Kingdom Kids. I'll see you next time. Bye!